Okay, well, this is a different day than normal, but it is Friday, October 20th. I'm Rose, and I am live today with Julie, and she's going to be giving us some running tips. Now, I wouldn't classify myself as a runner, but I think I can improve. I'm always wondering what's the difference between nature versus nurture, and I think I've put my eggs in the nature basket because it seems like some people are just born to run. But I do think that there are things we can do to definitely improve our running abilities, and Julie's going to help us with that today because she has run a number of half marathons and all kinds of races and works with a running coach. And sometimes, when you're younger, your body can just recover really easily, but then you get beyond 40 and it's like, okay, you need a little extra TLC in order to really, you know, improve your running time. And so she's going to give us a few tips. And so even if you're at the I'm on the couch and I'd like to do a 5K, well, this is for you. So we are going to learn from my friend Julie. I like to refer to her as a road runner because she really is just a road runner. So anyways, let's bring her. Okay, I think.
Hey, Rose.
There she is.
Hey.
Okay, so Julie, I think before when we tried recording this and my phone like just died, give
Yes.
us a little intro, little bio. How many half marathons have you run?
Oh, I don't know a total number. I'm going to
Just
guess
a lot.
probably like 15, 20, somewhere in there. And I've done 3 full marathons as well.
Yeah.
And I'm considering another full marathon. Shh, don't tell my husband.
No. And Julie's one of these people, I mean, you just you get a kick out of running. Like you
Hmm.
like to if you're gonna run, you want to run well. You don't I mean you enjoy the community, which I think running is great for community building and just obviously if you can get outside the fresh air, it's just very energizing. There really is something to the whole runner's high. But
Yeah.
also you're doing it because it's like it's a way to show that you are improving and being able to be in competition with yourself, and it's something you've always been kind of a type A personality where if you're going to do it, you want to do it well. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the things I love about it, I mean, I think it's hard for anybody when you're first getting started, but it's really become a good stress reliever for me. And so I am a therapist. And so I kind of consider running as my therapy, just the chance to
That's
get
so
out
good.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when, we can't always control how some of the areas of our life, are
Mm-hmm.
going, but I love that I can have some control over, how I'm doing with my running and, as long as I'm doing it smartly. And so being able to challenge and push myself and see, goals reached there can be really motivating. And I feel like it kind of has a ripple effect in that it actually, and I've heard this from a lot of different runners, how it can actually improve other areas of your life if you're, doing well with the running. And maybe we are just more type A people anyways, but, but yeah, definitely. I noticed that for myself, that, other areas of my life are positively impacted, and I tend to set goals in those areas too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, your last, let's see, was it half marathon was a couple
Hmm.
weeks ago?
Mid-September. Yeah.
Mid-September. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
surprised
I
yourself.
did.
So, working with a coach paid off.
Yes, it did. And, working with the coach is great for the accountability. And that's probably one of the things that is best for me because it's easy to just skip a day here and there when I'm not feeling it. But that I was really surprised with that race. So it was a half marathon. I ran it faster. Um, I think it's been about 5 years since I've run that fast. And so it was really encouraging for me to be able to, at this age, like, oh, I actually can still, hit some of those good, times and feel really fast and also feel really strong.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the key things in working with this coach is that she's really making sure that I'm keeping up on strength training, and that's been huge. You mentioned earlier that when we start to age, we have to kind of show ourselves a little more TLC, and that's so true. Where you could kind of just bounce back from things easier when you're
Mm-hmm.
younger. I definitely have found the strength training and warming up and cooling down and stretching and doing the foam rolling has just helped me so much more as I age. And as runners, we don't often want to do those things, but I'm seeing such an improvement in my running that now I'm more motivated to do them and I feel so much stronger. So it's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, do you mind sharing kind of what your time was last time or
Oh, sure.
what your goal was?
Yeah. So I had run back in June, I had run a half and I finished it in, it was that maybe I could, do an hour and 55 minutes on this race mid-September, been training a little bit more consistently and a couple minutes off is pretty realistic. We don't usually jump, by leaps and bounds every race.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually finished it in an hour and 50 minutes and 14 seconds. So it was a average pace per mile of 8 minutes and 24 seconds. And that was super, yeah, it was surprising. And I felt really good. I felt really strong. I was a little worried that maybe I was going out too fast, but I didn't feel like I was straining too much. And so I was really, really pleased with that time.
Yeah. So what are some tips you can give people or like maybe what your coaches had you work on to help you improve? Because you've always kind of been
Right.
a good runner. Like I've always classified you in my mind. And ever since I've known you since high school, it's like you've been a runner, I
Yeah.
consider you a runner and a fast runner at that. And so what would you, I guess, say to somebody who's maybe not a runner or who just like, wherever you're at, these sort of tips can help you improve your running time, even like I said, if you're on the couch right now and
Mm-hmm.
just want to complete a 5K.
Yeah. So I think those are a couple of different
Mm-hmm.
questions. So the first is like, how do you even get started, right? And then so maybe I'll kind of talk about some of that. And then
Yeah.
once you're started, how do you continue to improve? Um, so I think, when we're getting started, just to start small and start with where you're at, it's so tempting to, try to get out there right away and you want to do all the things, especially if you're really excited about it. But it's, running is not easy. It's going to hurt. You're not going to feel great at the beginning. And, I just say give it some time, start off small. Don't let the pressure of, what you're seeing on social media or what other people are doing, dictate what you do
Mm-hmm.
or affect the way that you feel about yourself in your own running. So start small. There are all kinds of great programs out there on, Couch to 5K or, where you're doing a little bit of running, a little bit of walking, and then you slowly increase how much time you're running. And I think that's a really smart way to go about it. So that's, I guess I'd say start small and do what works for you and where you're at with your fitness. Don't try to go out and run a full mile the first time if you haven't been running.
Yeah. Definitely
You may
feel that
decide to
lung
quit
burn.
after that. Yes. Yeah, you may just decide, oh, this really stinks. I don't want to do it, So start small. I think it can be really helpful, like with any exercise, to have accountability. So maybe you
Mm-hmm.
do it with a friend or even just somebody that will be encouraging to you and just check in with them and let them know how it's going for you and, what you're doing. So that can be really good. I really like to follow positive people on social media. Sometimes when I don't feel like running, my Instagram is pretty much like mostly all just people that run. And so I'll watch that for a little bit and then I'll want to go run. So that can be helpful too.
Yes.
That almost kind of gives you accountability if you don't have an accountability
Yeah.
partner.
And just a quick
Um,
sidebar. Do you have any favorite
yeah.
follows?
Ooh, I really like Yellow Runner.
Okay.
She's like way beyond me. She does ultra trail running, 200, 250 milers. I have no desire to do that, but it's just great to see someone who's really
Mm-hmm.
pushing. And she has a lot of super helpful strength training things. She actually has her own app where she does strength training programs. And so I really like to follow her. Let's see. I don't know the exact handle, but it's KMM Runs, something like that. It's Katie someone.
Okay.
She does a lot of running, and so she's kind of fun to watch. There's so many. I like to watch a lot of the pros. That's kind of fun too. Cara D'Amato, Sarah Hall, um, um, Kara Goucher. She's not doing running anymore, but she did for quite a while. Des Linden, Emma Bates. These are just, I'm sure there's like many, many more, but those are the ones that are coming to mind. Steph Bruce, um, yeah, Emma Coburn. So yeah, it's kind of fun to watch them too. I guess that's one of the things that I like about this sport as well is, there are a lot of pro sports where, we would have no hope of ever like participating or,
Yeah.
being a part of that group. But with runners and the pro athletes in running, you actually could wind up at the same races as them. And so it kind of almost feels like you could be a part of that world a little bit
Hmm.
more. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely has a community vibe.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I could never, go play pro basketball or, like be with some of these teams and things, but running, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
that's kind of fun.
attainable.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Consistency is another thing that I would say, if you're starting out, just trying to get into a routine of it makes it easier, so that you have, it's just like, this is just what I do. This is what I do every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are my running days. Then it's a little bit easier to get yourself out the door. This is just what you do on these days. And so you don't have to think about it too much. So that's something too. Um, the other thing I'd say, definitely give it some time to see if you like it because it is hard at the beginning. But if you decide it's not for you, that's okay too. There are plenty of other ways to get movement in. So I'd say I can't think of any other tips off the top of my head, but as you're getting started, maybe those will be
Yeah.
helpful. Um, and then the second part of that, like that other question, how do you get faster? Um, yeah, I think we've touched on some of that, but I know there are some challenges for those of us that are, getting up into like the master's ages, 40 plus is, you're considered a master runner at that point. Um,
Even 35 at some levels, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, what's kind of fun though, if you do start when you're older, when you do start out, regardless of what age, you do start like getting faster, and you'll have records, a lot of records at the beginning, like personal best, fastest
Hmm.
times, just because you're new to it and you're gaining more fitness, and so that's kind of fun no matter when you start. But there are some of those things that we definitely, as older runners, have to be mindful of. And so those are, the things like the strength training, and, the good recovery. That's really huge for us as we get older too. We don't bounce back as quickly. So I have like 2 days a week where I recover. One's kind of like I still exercise a little bit, but I'm not running. And then a lot of my days are really easy runs, and that's really important too. And I apologize, my lighting's kind of funny. I'm going to actually see if I can scooch
And I
over a
have
little
like
bit here.
horrible lighting here, but
The sun
yeah.
is the sun is moving. Uh, I was trying to get some more natural lighting. Let's see here. See if I can, as you get a close up of my face. All right, that might be a little bit better. Um, so where was I? Where was I, Rose?
Well, just improving and like when you're first starting out, you do get those personal bests, and
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm,
easy to get that. And then you get beyond that, and like you said, it's important to like really recover
mm-hmm.
because we don't always bounce back. And
Yes,
you take 2 days off each week to sort of recover.
you're a great listener.
I'm trying to
Yes, and
inform myself what do I need to do. Yeah.
the fact that you could just rattle all of that off, that was great. Like tell it right back to me. The other thing with that too is that you don't want to run everything hard. And it can be
Hmm.
difficult not to do that, when you're feeling really good, or like when the weather's really great, or you've got, great music playing in your earbuds. But um, it really, and it seems so counterintuitive that if you want to, run faster, actually you need to not run as fast for as much of the time,
Hmm.
that you're training. So a lot of, places will say 80% easy, 20% hard. I used to do hard like pretty much all the time. And part of that was ego and pride. And I didn't want to be one of the slower runners in my group and, things like that. But it's amazing how much of your speed for the races and things you leave behind if you're getting all of it out during training and you're not kind of saving some of that freshness in your legs. So it actually, I think, is more sustainable anyways. If you're not always pushing yourself, then you're not always injured. But the flip side of that is too, you tend to have a better race day if you're not putting it out there every day of the week when you go out. So I do speed work twice a week. And the way my coach has it set up right now is that I do 1 day of speed work during the week. And then she has speed work built into my long run on Saturday, which I really like because that kind of mimics when you're doing the longer runs, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
mimics those longer races and getting used to running on tired legs or having to kick it in to
Yeah.
get to the finish line. So that's been really good for me. So keep a lot of it just easy. It's about the time on your feet. A lot of it should just be conversational pace where you could, chat with the person that you're running with and you're not out of breath. So that's another important thing. And I think for all runners, but definitely, as we're aging too, like don't just be pushing it all the time because you're going to be injured.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, anything else? Fueling properly. I mean, that's important for
Oh yeah.
everybody. So that's really important. And I think, especially as we age, the recovering that, what we recover with, the nutrients that we recover with are really important too. Especially women that are, getting, into the master's ages, and into some of those, hormonal transitions as we get older. Protein is really important. So I like to use whey protein. So I try to kind of refuel with that after runs,
Mm-hmm.
and then have, just make sure I'm getting some good protein throughout the day. So that's really good too. Um, yeah, I don't know if I think we've kind of covered
And
everything that had come
you
to mind.
use like as far as like you use a Garmin to like track.
I do. Yeah. My Garmin tracks everything.
Mm-hmm.
So my sleep, that's really important too for recovery. I didn't mention that. But getting good sleep is really important. We ask
Yes.
so much of our bodies when we're out there running. And so that muscle repair is really going to happen in our deep sleep. And so it's important that we're getting adequate sleep. And I do want to I guess throw a kind of a caution out there to everybody. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not an official coach. I've just been doing this for a long time and I love it. And
She's
I'm
just a
learning
therapist,
more.
okay?
Yes, I'm only a
She's the
therapist.
mental part down and the
You want to
physical
talk
part
mental
down,
health?
but
I'm your gal, but yeah. Yeah, but I do, I've studied a lot on health, just for my own benefit, but also, it's just an area that I'm really interested in. So, so I do listen to a lot of podcasts and do a lot of reading and research. And so, I am knowledgeable on this, but I am not, a quote unquote professional. So,
yeah, it's just what
yeah.
you've incorporated into your life. And I know I
Mhm.
always hear you like trying to tweak things and adjust things.
Yeah.
And like you see running is not something like I have to do. Oh my goodness. It's
Yeah.
like you get joy out of doing it. Like you said, for you, it's therapy, it's stress relief. And I think if you can kind of see it as that, even if it's like, okay, I'm conquering 1 mile, like no
Hmm.
matter how slow it is, I'm going to complete 1 mile. And
Yeah.
it just feels good. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to work my way up to 3 miles. And
Hmm.
it's just slowly. I don't know, do you have any resources? I think back in the day, you once gave me a book that you really recommended as far as how to plan your training if you did want to do a half marathon or even a 5K.
Mm.
But I don't know if you remember that off the top of my head. Off the top of your head, I don't remember it off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but
I might have given you, I think it's Run Less, Run Faster. That
it
was one
could.
that a lot of us were
Okay.
using.
Yeah.
And that one has, some good basics. I'm not really following their program anymore. Their premise is, three runs a week, and they're all targeted. One is speed work, one is tempo, which is still kind of speed work, and then
Mm-hmm.
your long run. And then they advocate doing like other types of cross training. And so I am still doing strength training a couple times a week, but I am running 5 days a week, and just I think 3 of those are pretty easy runs. So it's not quite their format, but a lot of people like that. And I did really improve my times when I was just getting started running using their program. But there's a lot out there. The Planted Runner, I worked with her for a little while. She's got a Instagram page. She has, a whole coaching program that's really good. Right now I'm working with the Spark Healthy Runner group, and it's headed by a physical therapist. And so all of
Oh,
our
I love
strength
that.
training is
Yeah.
based directly on exercises that are going to help runners. So we do a lot like on one leg, for stability and things like that too, because that's what we're doing the whole time. We're on one foot or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so
Good
that's
point.
been good. Yeah. So those are a few of the current resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Julie's definitely been an
Mm.
inspiration to me to get out and run. I have another friend too that's really into running, and then my nieces, have been running, and so it's like, okay, one way or another, even if it's just like, getting a good time on a 5K, like it
Yes.
feels good. And I think it's just a fun way, like mix it up. Like I totally believe in strength training, as you do too, to
Yeah.
help you improve your running. And like I think that's so good as we age. We talked about that, the importance of really lifting heavy and just
Mm-hmm.
working on that first and foremost. But then incorporating running into, I think it's good to diversify, and it feels good. Like I said, I mean, just like you said, for stress relief and getting out, fresh air is definitely, yeah, it's
Yeah.
good too.
All those
Good for the
things.
physical
Yes.
body, but good for the mind.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is something about that. You're right about getting that fresh air. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah. If
So
it's
it
not
is,
raining.
yeah. But
But
you
you
know what?
run even if it rains. Yeah.
I got soaked a couple of weeks ago, and I'm actually always kind of happy for that first time that I get really soaked because I can be kind of a baby up until that point, and then it's like, okay, I've already had it happen. It's not a big deal. Usually, it's not so cold that we're also freezing the whole time, so being wet usually is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You just don't want to get like, frozen or anything, so just make sure you're dressed appropriately and stay warm. But
Yes.
yeah, even the
Well, I
rain,
appreciate
sometimes
the
it feels
tips.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of like holiday 5Ks, half
Mhm.
marathons, all kinds of runs and races coming up. They're super fun. You can dress up. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of a good time to just like, oh, let me try something new even before the new year.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to maybe do like a holiday
Yes.
5K or something.
Yes, you and me. Let's do
Yeah.
the reindeer run.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I want to do it. Okay, so those are tips with Julie, and we will try to format those and some of her recommendations for follows so that you guys have that at the ready. And yeah, any final words, Julie?
I guess I would just say if you're thinking about it, just try it.
Mm-hmm.
What can it hurt? Give it a couple of weeks, see how it feels for you. Yeah, it's been great for me. Yeah, I can't imagine not having that as an outlet. So
Yeah,
yeah,
something new is something good. So
yes, it is
uh,
something good.
yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Julie.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Okay. Well, we thank you for joining us, and hopefully you got something out of this today. And go out and try running. Let us know if you are a runner, what your tips are. And once again, we will put some of those follows and recommendations for you in the description. And yeah, have a great weekend. Get out and run.